called out for an emergency in the middle of the night, only to find my husband with an intern. The hospital received an emergency case late at night, an illicit couple caught in a car, accidentally suffocating. When I arrived at the scene, I discovered the person involved was none other than my husband, the man I've loved for 10 years. Even unconscious and losing awareness, my husband still held tightly to the young intern in his arms, and on his hand was our wedding ring. Later, after much heartache, I decided to file for divorce and embrace a new beginning, while my husband became the laughingstock of our circle. The moment the car door was flung open, the man and woman were instantly exposed to everyone's gaze. I had come for an emergency, but when I saw that familiar face, it was as if I'd been struck by lightning. I froze completely on the spot. That face was all too familiar. Just this morning before leaving, he had wrapped his arms tenderly around my neck, thoughtfully straightening my collar. His soft, low voice still seemed to echo in my ears. "Come home early from work tonight. I'm waiting to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary together." Tonight marked the 10th year since the boy who fell in love with me at first sight became my husband. I was filled with joy, thinking that once I finished this emergency, I would rush home to embrace him, kiss him, and tell him I wanted to spend many more decades by his side. But at this moment, everything before me felt like a sharp knife stabbing deep into my heart, blood spurting and pooling on the ground. My whole body trembled uncontrollably as I desperately tried to deny the reality in front of me. No, it can't be. I must be mistaken, this man just looks like Daniel. Yet in the next second, as he shifted, the hand of the young girl he held even in his unconscious state revealed the wedding ring, so familiar to me, that finally dealt me a fatal blow. The colleague who came with me gave me a hard shove. "Director Vivian. Why are you still standing there stunned? Hurry up and save him." I stumbled from his push, my mind completely blank. Yes, I should have rushed forward to save him, but my vision was blurred and darkened by the flood of tears. I didn't know who pushed me from behind, and I lost my balance and fell. A single tear happened to fall on that face, which at this moment felt utterly unfamiliar to me. People urged me on as I trembled, mechanically trying to separate them and perform emergency treatment on Daniel. But just as I pulled him away, he, half-conscious, desperately clung once more to the woman in his arms, murmuring, "Snow. Snow, hold me tight, I'm so cold, Snow. I want you. I love you." In an instant, it was as if a bucket of cold water was poured straight over my head. I closed my eyes in despair, my eyes burning and aching unbearably. I suddenly stood up, my face pale as I turned away. Only then did the colleague who came with me notice my unusual state. "Director Vivian, you look terrible. Are you feeling unwell?" I forced myself to hold back my emotions and nodded. "Oh. Then you should go back and rest quickly. I see those wild lovebirds don't seem to have any problems. The guy is even confessing his deep feelings." My colleague's words sounded unbearably harsh to me at that moment. My throat rolled up and down, but I couldn't say a word. Like a deserter being chased, I fled the scene swiftly. I don't know how I got back to the hospital. The director's office was empty at midnight. I leaned against the wall, tears streaming endlessly down the corners of my eyes. The words "I love you" uttered by Daniel in his coma struck me like an arrow right in the center of my brow. His promise from 10 years ago still echoed in my ears, vivid and clear. Back then, the look in his eyes was so resolute and unwavering. "Vivian, it wasn't until I met you that I realized how empty my life had been for the past 20 years. You gave me sunshine, taught me how to love, and showed me that such happiness exists in this world. I will spend my life by your side. From now on, there will be no one else in my eyes or heart. Vivian, I love you. I love you." Such precious 3 words, once held deep in my heart, heavy as 1,000 pounds. Now, in this unbearable situation, they come out of his mouth again. But this time, he's saying them to someone else. I dared not cry out loud, so I bit down hard on my own arm. Only when my mouth filled with the metallic taste of blood did I realize I had bitten my right hand, the very hand that was about to undergo surgery, until it was dripping with blood. But why doesn't it hurt? Why can't I feel the pain? Why do I still feel my heart shattering? Daniel, do you know that you almost killed me? Suddenly, someone pushed the door open and walked in. The office light flicked on, and I, curled up in the corner, was exposed with nowhere to hide. Desperately, I clutched my head, choking out hoarsely, "Don't look at me. Don't come closer. I beg you." But the footsteps kept coming, inching closer with every step, and with each one, my despair deepened. Finally, the person stopped right in front of me and crouched down. He reached out and grasped my bleeding right hand, his voice trembling softly. "Senior sister." I suddenly lifted my head. It was no one else but my teacher's youngest son, Leo, my junior brother whom I had known for nearly 20 years. My parents died when I was very young, and it was my teacher who raised me. Leo was almost like family to me. The immense pain completely shattered the moment I saw my loved one. I cried as I clung to Leo, letting out uncontrollable low growls. Why? Why do this to me? Why not just kill me outright? Scalding tears slid down the corners of my eyes, dripping onto Leo's shoulder. He gently rubbed my back, ignoring my outburst, whispering words of comfort one after another. "It's okay now, senior sister, it's okay, I'm here, I'm with you. Vivian, I'm here." I don't know how long passed before all my strength was completely drained, and I collapsed weakly to my knees. Leo helped me onto the sofa, took some gauze from the bedside treatment area, and tearfully bandaged me. "Vivian, do you have any idea how many people's eyes your hands have saved? Do you know how many patients' hopes rest on your surgeries? How could you hurt yourself like this?" I closed my eyes in despair, my Adam's apple bobbing up and down for a long moment before I finally spoke. "Leo. Daniel, I saw it. Leo cut me off. Just now downstairs, I saw him and that person being taken into the hospital. I heard from colleagues who were at the scene about what happened. Senior sister, promise me, no matter what, don't hurt yourself, okay?" After a long silence, I gently nodded. Leo looked at me with reddened eyes. "Senior sister, you and Daniel have been married for 10 years. You've always been the model couple in our circle. No matter what happens, I hope you both can have a good talk, not for anything else, but for the sake of how 10 years ago he fought so desperately against his family to marry you. Give each other one more chance, okay?" Leo's words instantly took my memory back 10 years. At that time, I was just a naive young doctor newly stepping into society, with no family background, no connections, completely empty-handed. Daniel was my patient, and also the first surgery I ever performed as lead surgeon. I pulled him back from the brink of near blindness and despair. The first thing he saw after regaining his sight was me. He said I was like a light shining into his dark life. This boy from a privileged family fell in love with me at first sight. We met, got to know each other, and fell in love, but Daniel's parents did not approve of us being together. There was no other reason, it was simply because I had no parents, no house, no car, I was completely penniless. Daniel's father even came to the hospital and, in front of all the doctors and nurses, hurled insults at me. "Stinking bitch. Do you think your sweet talk can fool Cien Fong, or me? You're dirt poor, so why should you marry my son? A toad wanting to eat swan meat. Keep dreaming." The whispers around me made me wish I could crawl into a hole and disappear. Helplessness and embarrassment nearly overwhelmed me. But just when I was at my lowest, a figure in a white shirt suddenly rushed forward and stood in front of me. "Dad. I'm the one who pursued Vivian, and I confessed to her. If it weren't for Vivian, I wouldn't want to live anymore. She's my lifesaver, and the person I will love for the rest of my life." "What gives you the right to say that about her?" "I like her, no matter what you say, I just like her. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to marry her." That summer, that afternoon, that boy in a white shirt who stood in front of me to face the whole world for me. He just moved into my heart, and stayed there for 10 years. A sharp, bone-chilling pain spread across the back of my hand. I opened my eyes and looked at the wedding photo on the desk, silently making a difficult decision. Daniel, for the sake of you from 10 years ago, no matter how much it hurts, I want to give our marriage a chance. As long as you're willing to be honest with me, as long as you can completely cut ties with that person. I'm willing to swallow all the pain and grievances. As long as you still love me. I don't know how I drove home. Like a walking corpse, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. Looking at the familiar arrangement at home, the scent of the roses I bought early this morning filled my nostrils. For 10 years, every anniversary, I would order flowers first thing in the morning and deliver them into his arms the moment he woke up. This morning was no different. Daniel held the flowers, his face full of happiness as he leaned into my embrace and asked, "Honey, will you always be this good to me? Our love will never go bad, right?" At that moment, I held him tightly, whispering a promise. Trust me. Just 3 simple words, no need for more. Because after 10 years together, my husband and I had developed a silent understanding that connected our hearts. Even now, I don't understand how the peaceful, secure happiness of this morning could completely shatter in just a few short hours. The boy who should have been waiting at home to celebrate our 10th anniversary with me was now in the hospital receiving treatment for having an affair with another woman. After the painful breakdown, the woman's face gradually surfaced in my memory. It wasn't until this moment that I remembered, the girl Daniel held tightly in his arms, even half-conscious yet still on his mind, was the new intern at his company he had mentioned to me before. After working at the company for so many years, he had never told me any office gossip. But more than a year ago, one day after work, he walked through the door holding a bouquet of fresh flowers, smiling. When he saw me, his expression clearly froze. "Vivian? What are you doing home?" Indeed, at this time I was usually working overtime at the hospital. I didn't answer, just smiled. "The flowers are beautiful." However, at that moment, Daniel's expression tightened with an almost uncontrollable tension, and he explained somewhat flusteredly, "She's an intern from our unit. I took her on a case, and she wanted to thank me." "Daniel, it's okay, I'm not doubting anything." But the more I said this, the more nervous Daniel became, even making things sound worse. "There's really nothing, and the reason I helped her was because she reminded me a bit of you from 10 years ago." What had originally seemed like no big deal suddenly took on a different tone after Daniel said that. I didn't say anything more, nor did I ask any further questions. But this girl named Snow began to infiltrate every corner of our lives over the course of a year. The flowers she sent, the snacks she bought, even her coat. There was even a time when Daniel was on a business trip, and when I called, it was Snow who answered. "Daniel is busy. His phone is with me. If there's anything, I can pass the message along for you." I silently hung up, swallowing all the displeasure and grievance deep inside. I kept telling myself to trust Daniel, to believe in the 10 years of our relationship. So I never asked, never checked, not even once did I look through his phone. But now, that girl who was like me 10 years ago had completely taken my place. They were intimate and entangled in the car, to the point that everyone knew about it. 10 whole years of understanding and commitment couldn't withstand the 1 year since they met. My marriage and happiness turned into an illusion, shattered to pieces by Snow's appearance. In the darkness, I leaned weakly against the sofa, an unbearable ache swelling in my heart that made tears stream down my face once again. I wanted to tell myself it was just a nightmare, but the burning tears at the corners of my eyes and the pain in my chest that made it hard to breathe reminded me otherwise, making it impossible even to deceive myself. I clutched my head, choking back sobs, curling up painfully on the sofa, stabbed again and again by the happiness of the past 10 years and everything that had happened tonight. Silently, I endured the pain, not knowing how much time had passed before the sky gradually lightened with the first pale dawn. Then, the door at home finally clicked open. All night long, my husband had disappeared on the day of our 10th anniversary. When Daniel walked in, he looked a little surprised. "Honey? Why are you here alone?" I propped up my weary body, my aching eyes fixed firmly on him. "Where have you been?" Daniel hesitated for a moment, then quickly composed himself. "I sent you a message, you didn't see it, did you? There was an urgent case at the company, and they insisted I had to go back. I saw you were working late too, and since I couldn't come back right away, I just headed to the office." Daniel spoke as he walked over, leaning intimately into my arms. The spot where his chest pressed against me felt as if it had been branded with a hot iron. I bit back the pain and stayed silent, my heart filled with the ache of betrayal. He lied to me. Still lying to me. The marks of someone's affection were still on his neck, and yet he shamelessly told me he was working late at the office. How foolish I must be, never once doubting him. How many times had this happened over the past year, and I had been completely oblivious? Seeing my cold expression, Daniel tried to win me over by wrapping his arms around my neck and pressing a kiss to the corner of my mouth. All right, don't be mad. I know I shouldn't have neglected you because of work. I won't do it again. I'll stay home with you all day today, okay?" His tone was so natural, his attitude so affectionate. If it weren't for the disgraceful scene I witnessed with my own eyes last night, maybe I would have believed him once more. But this time, his closeness and kisses suddenly made me feel utterly disgusted. His hands had once been wrapped around Snow's neck, his lips had just been kissed by her, and his entire body had been possessed countless times. My stomach churned violently, and I pushed him away abruptly, standing up. "Don't touch me." Daniel was pushed back onto the sofa, completely stunned. After being married for 10 whole years, I had always been obedient to him, pampering him like a child, never once speaking a harsh word to him. Every time a conflict arises, no matter whose fault it is, I always take the initiative to admit my mistakes. Simply because when we got married, I promised to love and cherish him for life, to make him the happiest person in the world. So when Daniel showed up, he didn't expect me to speak to him this way, even pushing him away. Everything happened so suddenly that Daniel was almost caught off guard. "What are you doing? Why are you treating me like this? Why treat me like this?" A bitter smile flickered at the corner of my mouth. I wanted to ask him the same, why is he treating me this way? But how could I bring it up? And if I did, how would he respond? Reason and impulse swirled endlessly in my chest. After a long silence, I barely swallowed the words I was about to say. I looked at him, at the man before me whom I thought I understood and had loved for 10 years, and asked softly, "Daniel, I want to ask you something. I hope you'll answer me truthfully, no matter what." Daniel nodded. "Go ahead, honey. Of course, I'll tell you. We have no secrets between us." I gave a bitter smile, my voice hoarse. "Really? Then tell me, where exactly were you last night?" Daniel's pupils flickered, and he bit his lip, hesitating. But after just a few seconds, his expression changed abruptly. He glared at me with displeasure. "Vivian, are you done? What do you mean by asking me that? We've been married for 10 years. If you don't trust me on something this small, how do you expect me to keep going for all these years? Is it just because I missed our anniversary? Is it really worth making such a fuss over? Stop being so dramatic, okay?" I stood quietly where I was, watching Daniel spiral into hysteria over my single question, feeling my heart sink to the bottom. After a long moment, I lowered my eyes and gently nodded. "All right, there's still work at the hospital, I'll head out first." With that, I didn't look at Daniel again and turned to stride out the door. Only once inside the car did I finally slump back against the seat in exhaustion. I raised my hand and slapped myself hard more than a dozen times. I hated myself for holding on too tightly, unable to let go, and not even daring to ask the truth. I hated myself for being a coward, too afraid to expose him. I hated myself even more for still harboring hope for this marriage that was already shattered beyond repair. Why couldn't I let him go? Why, even now, do I still love him? I came to the hospital as if fleeing, yet I didn't dare go to the office. Today was my day off, and I was afraid my colleagues would ask why I wasn't at home enjoying time alone with my husband. After all, everyone knew I had a husband I'd loved for 10 years and with whom I had a great relationship. What I didn't expect was that, while I was hiding in the stairwell, secretly torturing myself, I overheard two junior nurses gossiping. "Hey, did you hear? Yesterday, an illicit couple was brought into the emergency room. How come I didn't hear about it? They were caught having an affair in the car, went into shock, and were brought in completely naked. Everyone in the ER knows about it." I was curious and sneaked a look. After they woke up, they were still all lovey-dovey. I even recorded them. Let me see. Let me see. Listening to the nurse's conversation, my heart sank to the bottom. Then, a familiar voice came through my phone. "Snow, I'm just glad you're okay. Do you know how worried I was? I wish I could be by your side every moment." Snow sneered coldly. "Worried about me? If you were, you'd divorce that old woman immediately. How did you promise me? Didn't you say you'd find a chance to confess to her? Didn't you say being with her every day made you feel sick and disgusted? Nauseous and uncomfortable?" Those 4 words felt like sharp blades stabbing into my heart. So the marriage I thought was happy and perfect was actually such a torment in his eyes? It turned out he had already made up his mind and planned to confront me. Then why didn't he just tell me directly? Why did he let me drown like a fool in the illusion of a happy marriage? After 10 years of love, couldn't I at least get one honest word? I couldn't listen to anything else after that. The suffocating despair seemed ready to swallow me whole. I desperately fled back to the office. Sitting on the sofa, I watched the traffic streaming outside the window, the scenes of the past 10 years playing over and over in my mind. Happy moments, sad moments, times of joy, times of heartbreak. So many precious memories, all shattered, ultimately leading to an unbearable end. I just sat there dumbfounded for who knows how many hours, as if I had lived a lifetime. Finally, I took out my phone and dialed Daniel's number. The call rang for a long time before he answered, panting heavily. "Hello? What's up?" I paused for a moment, then asked softly, "Where are you?" Daniel hesitated for a few seconds before reluctantly answering my question. "An intern at our company was hospitalized. I came to check on her." A mocking smile curled at the corner of my mouth. Everything was clearer than ever. "That intern is Snow, isn't she? You were with her last night too." The moment I said those words, Daniel on the other end immediately exploded in anger and shame. "Vivian. Are you done? You're accusing me like this with your own heart? Don't think I'll tolerate this endlessly. I'm telling you, my patience with you has limits. If you keep acting like this, don't blame me for divorcing you." "Fine." I interrupted him without hesitation. "Daniel, let's get a divorce." The noisy shouting on the other end of the phone suddenly stopped. Then came Daniel's tearful question. "Vivian, what did you say?" I dropped a sentence and, for the first time in 10 years, took the initiative to hang up on Daniel. "I said let's get a divorce, Daniel. I don't want you anymore." I pushed the door open and found Leo standing there with an awkward expression. "Senior sister, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. I just wanted to check if you were feeling better. I saw you on the phone, so I didn't come in." I nodded. "It's okay, you were going to find out sooner or later." Leo frowned at me. "Are you really sure? Is there absolutely no room for compromise?" I fell silent and nodded. "Leo, please drive me home to get my things." Leo sighed. I knew he felt regret for the 10 years of marriage we had shared. He had witnessed everything between Daniel and me. He knew how much I had invested in this relationship, and because of that, he also understood that once I made this decision, there was no turning back. Accompanied by Leo, I returned to this home once more. I looked around at everything familiar, running my hands over the furniture I used to touch every day, as if saying a final farewell to the past 10 years. Finally, the pain deep in my heart began to subside. I knew the time had come. I quickly packed my clothes and belongings. I didn't want anything here anymore. I left it all for him. I walked away clean and clear, just like 10 years ago. Leo quietly watched me pack my simple clothes into the suitcase, his face full of regret. Senior sister, no matter what decision you make, I support you. I just hope you remember that someone will always stand by your side. You won't be alone. Leo's words moved me deeply, and I nodded gently. But just as I was about to leave, the door was opened from the outside. Daniel appeared in my line of sight, and behind him was the woman who had destroyed all my happiness. A surge of nameless fury instantly rose to my chest. How dare he bring that bastard back to our home? Daniel was momentarily stunned, then glanced at me, then at the suitcase in my hand, his face immediately darkening. Vivian, stop making a scene. Let's talk this through. I shook my head helplessly. Even now, he still thought I was just throwing a tantrum. I made it clear on the phone, I'll have a lawyer send you the divorce papers. I'm moving out today, and from now on, whoever you bring home is none of my business. After saying that, I lifted my leg to leave, but Daniel suddenly grabbed my arm. Vivian. How can you just say divorce and expect it to happen? Didn't you bring another man home too? What right do you have to judge me? Just because I was a little nicer to Snow, you have to make such a big deal out of it? Or maybe you already have someone else in your heart and you're just using this as an excuse? I wearily shook off his hand. Enough. Let go of me. There's a lot I don't want to say. After all, we've been together for 10 years. Let's part on good terms. I won't. Daniel was almost hysterical. You're doing this because of that bitch. You've fallen for someone else and want to dump me to be with her, isn't that right? Tell me. By this point, I was completely furious. I could tolerate his slander against me, but I couldn't stand watching Leo suffer unjustly. How could Daniel so brazenly insult others? The one who cheated was clearly him. Daniel. Have you said enough? The reason I didn't want to make things clear was to give our relationship a dignified ending. Why am I divorcing you? Don't you know the answer? You were having an affair with Snow in the car and she went into shock. Do you know who rushed her to the emergency room? It was me. I saw with my own eyes you two, naked, being dragged out of the car, and I watched you, barely clothed, holding that bastard in your arms. What more do you want me to say? I fucking despise you. I don't want you anymore. Is that reason enough? My words hit like a thunderclap, leaving the three of them stunned. Daniel's confident expression from the start had turned pale as death. He never expected me to have seen that scene, nor did he expect that his affair was no longer a secret. His legs went weak, and with a thud, he fell to his knees. No, it's not like that, Vivian, let me explain, honey, it really isn't what you think. I looked down on him, my eyes cold as ice. Daniel, I only trust my own eyes. Everything I saw with my own eyes, you can't deny. Tears suddenly streamed down Daniel's face. He crawled on his knees to my feet, clutching my legs tightly with both hands, crying out loudly. Honey, I'm sorry, but I really didn't mean it. I love you so much. She looks so much like you did 10 years ago, I was just confused for a moment. 10 years ago, you saved me, you were like a light that appeared in my life. So when she showed up, I wavered, honey, the one I like is you, the one I love has always been you. I shook my head bitterly. Daniel, don't you find your own words disgusting? Because you love me, because you miss the me from 10 years ago, you have an affair with someone who looks like me? I reached out, forcefully pried his hand away, and threw it aside harshly. You didn't just destroy our marriage, you defiled our love and shattered the trust and promises we built over 10 whole years. You were the one who killed the two people who once truly loved each other. Daniel, I'm letting go now. You can openly be with that person who looks like me. Are you satisfied now? Daniel cried as he rushed over and hugged me tightly. No. No. Wife. There's no one else, the one I love is you. The only person I love is you. Snow, who had been looking smug beside us, now grew increasingly pale. She stormed over and yanked Daniel by the arm, pulling him into her embrace. Daniel, didn't you say the one you love is me? Now that old woman is out of the picture, isn't that a good thing? Why are you still clinging to her? Slap. Daniel swung back fiercely, slapping Snow hard across the face. Get lost. What are you even? You're just a substitute, you're not even worth a single toe of Vivian. It's all your fault. You seduced me. If it weren't for you, none of this would have happened. Why don't you just die? Snow was completely stunned by the slap, clutching her face and looking at Daniel with tearful eyes. I wearily closed my eyes, turned around, and pulled my suitcase as I walked out. Behind me, Daniel broke down, crying and screaming. Don't go. Vivian. I beg you, I really can't live without you. I know I was wrong, please give me one more chance, okay? Are you really so heartless that you won't even give me a chance to make things right? I stopped in my tracks and turned around. Daniel stood there, tears slowly streaming down his handsome face. Once upon a time, that face, those tears, weighed on me like 1,000 pounds. No matter what happened, as long as he cried and acted spoiled with me, I would forgive him. If it were before, I might have already held him in my arms, soothing him softly. But this time, watching his tears fall like rain, my heart remained completely unmoved. Daniel, enough. You said I was a light in your life, but you don't realize, you are one in mine too. You used to be so beautiful, so pure in my heart, but now, that beautiful, pure you is nothing but a shadow. I'm begging you, don't destroy the last bit of goodness we have left. Don't let the 10 years of your feelings become so unbearable. The moment I said this, Daniel, who had been crying, screaming, and throwing a tantrum, suddenly froze. It was as if only at this moment did he realize I had made up my mind. I wasn't throwing a fit or acting out, I was truly exhausted. This marriage, once filled with happiness but now shattered, had drained all my patience and strength. I really didn't want him anymore. Daniel's body went limp and he collapsed weakly to the floor, the last tear falling from the corner of his eye filled with despair. I gave him one final look, then turned and strode away. Without ever looking back. After leaving home, besides the pain in my heart, there was also an indescribable sense of relief. A bad relationship may hurt when you cut it off, but only by removing all the rotten flesh from the wound can it truly heal. I originally planned to go to the office or a hotel to make do for a while, but Leo insisted on taking me to his home. Once we arrived, he pushed me toward the shower. When I stepped out of the bathroom, the room was already filled with the aroma of food. On the table were 4 dishes and a soup, all my favorites. I still remember the first time I went to my teacher's house for a meal, when his wife made chicken wings for me. It was the first time I tasted something so delicious, unforgettable for a lifetime, and it was also the first time I felt the warmth of family. This time, Leo made the same dishes for me. I knew the unspoken words he didn't say, he wanted to tell me that he had always been by my side. I was so moved that my eyes stung, and I held back my tears as I sat down to eat that meal with Leo. At night, lying in an unfamiliar bed, my mind was both chaotic and quiet. I thought I would suffer from insomnia, maybe not sleep at all through the night, but unexpectedly, I soon drifted into a dream. In the dream, there was no failed marriage, no haunting images, only a kind teacher, a gentle teacher's wife, and that little junior who always looked at me. I stayed at Leo's house for half a month, and during those days, Leo was always with me. We read books, watched movies, played cards, and drank together. Leo wasn't a man of many words, but I could understand every look in his eyes. He was feeling sorry for me. I'm not a blockhead, nor am I blind to Leo's feelings for me. But if I were to blindly get together with him now, I think that would be irresponsible and disrespectful to him. Daniel and I loved each other for 10 years, no matter what, that memory cannot be erased. Only by letting the tide of time gradually wash away these feelings, when one day I think of Daniel without the heartache and unbearable pain, perhaps then I can welcome a new beginning in love. Daniel never signed the divorce papers. Later, having no other choice, I went to court to file for divorce, ending this decade-long marriage. After that, with the help of my mentor, I transferred to another hospital and thrived in my new position. A year later, on Leo's birthday, I confessed my feelings to him. The boy who had silently liked me for over 10 years, following me quietly from behind, couldn't hold back his tears of joy and threw himself into my arms crying. The teacher and his wife looked at us with relief, nodding and smiling. Good, you two have finally found happiness. Yes, after all the twists and turns, Leo and I had finally come together. Time flew by, and 3 more years passed in the blink of an eye. I became a skilled surgeon, the youngest and most capable department head in the hospital. But I never expected to see Daniel again. He had lost a lot of weight and aged considerably, looking utterly haggard. The moment he saw me, tears nearly burst from his eyes. He cried so uncontrollably that I had no choice but to take him to my office. It was only through his fragmented recounting that I realized how unbearably painful these past 3 years had been for him. 3 years ago, after our divorce, a video of him and Snow being dragged naked out of a car was somehow leaked online, causing an uproar among our circle of friends and family. He and Snow had a huge fight over it. After all, the girl was young and actually laid hands on him. She beat him severely, and ended up in prison herself. Daniel's injuries healed, but left him with lasting damage. He became a cripple. Because of this incident, he was also fired from his company and lost his job. Vivian, I'm sorry. I know all of this is my fault, but I've truly been punished. The one I've always loved is you. Why don't you believe me? I don't believe you could really fall for Leo. I know you've always had me in your heart, haven't you? I shook my head helplessly, about to speak, when the office door was pushed open. Leo walked in, froze for a moment when he saw Daniel, then looked at me. You have a visitor? I smiled and shook my head, walked over, and took his hand. No, let's go, I'm off work. Daniel stared intently at Leo, his eyes filled with unbearable resentment. Vivian. I don't believe you could really forget me. We were together for 10 years, I was your first love. You used to have only me in your world, have you forgotten? I stopped in my tracks, not turning around. Maybe so. But from now on, my world only has Leo. Daniel, it's all in the past. It will never come back. That night, a mutual friend of Daniel and me sent me a screenshot. Daniel had posted a picture of the wedding ring on Facebook, captioned, "First love is first love, I believe the white moonlight will never be forgotten." I shook my head with a helpless smile, dropped my phone, and pulled Leo into my arms. What first love or white moonlight? In front of my husband, who was within reach, it was worthless. Only what you hold in your hands is real, the solid, genuine happiness.